Alrighty. Um, yeah, I guess we'll just get right to it. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're really excited that you're here and excited to do this for you. This is a play that is specifically designed for Zoom, and it's called Zoomers Zooming Through a Zoom Play, because the actors are millennials and Gen Z, also known as Zoomers, apparently. I know it's kind of a mouthful. My name is Sam, and I'm just going to be kind of reading stage directions and generally guiding the night. The writer actually asked me to fill in a little last minute because something came up. So, hope everything's okay there. And if I stumble or seem lost, it is because I am. Playing all of the roles tonight are going to be Parker Fox Ciliax and Katie Donovan. And I was specifically told to emphasize that this is not a staged reading. It's a play designed for Zoom. So yeah, I don't know if there's much else to say. Obviously, feel free to use the chat. It's encouraged, definitely. And enjoy the show.
I remember my first Christmas with Elizabeth like the first time I drove a car. Vivid, exciting, and full of magic.
Jeremiah, stop telling stories. They don't want to hear all that. Plus, you'd have to censor a lot to talk about that Christmas.
I have forgotten some of the details.
Yeah, well, I haven't.
I was pretty drunk.
Yep, you were.
But I can still tell the story.
Can you, though?
Why not?
I mean, you're drunk now.
I've had 1 glass of wine. 2.
Okay, but there's no way you can even remember that Christmas party.
Well, sure. There was a woman and the rabbi and the
Wait.
Huh.
What?
Are we sure about this?
About what?
We were celebrating Christmas.
What do you mean?
I mean, it could have been Hanukkah.
No, I don't celebrate Hanukkah.
But I specifically remember a dancing rabbi on the shelf singing Hava Nagila.
What? No, you must have dreamt that.
Why the fuck would have I dreamt about a singing rabbi?
Wait, no, I think you're right.
It was Hanukkah?
No, not about Hanukkah. The dancing rabbi. He was one of those stuffed toys on a shelf. We were at a Christmas party and they had one.
Were they Jewish?
No, I think they just really liked the dancing rabbi.
Is that problematic?
Beats me.
Okay, so it was a Christmas party. It was rife with holly and ivy and dancing rabbis, and Elizabeth was across the room talking to a friend.
No, not quite. She wasn't my friend.
Woman, would you let me tell the story?
Not if you're gonna do it wrong.
The woman who is or is not your friend doesn't factor into this. The story is about our wonderful...
You're very sappy.
Sappy, like the goddamn Christmas tree we met under years ago in the light.
Okay, stop yelling.
We met at a Christmas party in California.
Colorado.
And I walked over to where Elizabeth was standing with her friend.
Again, not my friend.
As I said, you must be
an angel because you belong on the top of my tree. Yeah, disgusting.
Oh, I was drunk.
I slapped you.
Yeah, you did slap me. Hard.
But, you were friends with that woman, so I took some pity on you.
Wait, she was my friend?
Yeah.
Maybe I was walking over to talk to her, I walked over to where the woman was standing with her friend Elizabeth.
Yeah, you hit on both of us.
I mean, she was very pretty.
You already knew her.
That's how I knew she was pretty.
You're incorrigible.
Well, I went home with you, didn't I?
Not at first. We went upstairs and
Um, I hang on. That we were celebrating Christmas.
What do you mean?
It couldn't have been Hanukkah.
I don't celebrate Hanukkah.
I specifically remember a dancing rabbi on the shelf singing Hava Nagila.
You must have dreamt that.
Why the fuck would have I dreamt about a singing rabbi?
Wait, I think you're right.
It was Hanukkah?
No, not about Hanukkah, the dancing rabbi. He was one of those stuffed toys on the shelf. We were at a Christmas party and they had one.
Were they Jewish?
No, they just really liked the dancing rabbi.
Is that problematic?
Beats me.
So it was a Christmas party rife with holly and ivy and dancing rabbis, and Elizabeth was across the room talking to a friend.
Oh no, she wasn't my friend.
Woman, would you let me tell the story?
Not if you're gonna do it wrong.
The woman who is or isn't your friend doesn't factor into it. The story is about our...
Wait, I think you're right.
It was Hanukkah.
No, not about Hanukkah, the dancing rabbi. He was one of those stuffed toys on a shelf. We were at a Christmas party and they had one.
Were they Jewish?
No, they just really liked the dancing rabbi.
Isn't that problematic?
Beats me.
Okay. So it was a Christmas party rife with holly and ivy and dancing rabbis, and Elizabeth was across the room talking to a friend.
She wasn't my friend.
Woman, would you let me tell the story?
Not if you're gonna do it wrong.
The woman who is or isn't your friend doesn't factor into it.
Okay, let's pause for a second. Sorry, actors, is this supposed to be happening, or is this, I mean, is it like a repetition?
I thought it was just, I just thought it was like some sort of weird experimental thing.
God, I really miss doing Shakespeare.
Okay, so I'm kind of looking ahead and it just looked like it repeats a couple more times. And there are some blank pages, so that's not correct.
I mean, no.
Okay. Okay, so the writer's texting me that is the wrong script. So I'm gonna forward you guys the new PDF now. So just get on your email if you're not.
This is why I like to name my scripts by version and date, so this kind of stuff doesn't happen.
Okay, it's sent. Do you guys have them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's try this again. So sorry again. Setting. An old inn, the Old West, new friendships. The Old West. Actually, I'm gonna go check this out. Keep going without me.
Wait, you want us to read our own stage directions?
Yeah.
A man sits at a bar where a woman is wiping down the counter. Howdy, miss.
Need a place for the night or just passing through?
I reckon I haven't decided yet. How about a bowl of your finest stew?
You won't find better this side of Valentine. She gets up and goes into the kitchen, returning shortly thereafter with a bowl.
The man takes a spoon and eats from the bowl. That's mighty fine indeed, miss.
I didn't catch your name, stranger.
He holds out his hand. James Shepherd.
She takes his hand. Sarah Abernathy.
This your place?
Sure is. Good for nothing husband ran out of me last year. Or got killed. Depends who you ask in town. Someone's lying, but they all think they're doing me a kindness.
Kind?
Yeah, sure, a fragile little lady like myself can't handle such distressing news, apparently.
He finishes his stew and pushes it forward. What sorts of services you offering at this here establishment, Miss Abernathy.
I'll have you know, Mr. Shepherd, that I am not entertaining gentlemen callers. She takes the bowl curtly and takes it into the kitchen.
When she comes back, he straightens up in his seat and removes his hat. I meant no offense, ma'am. What I could really use is a hot bath for my joints if you got one.
You'll be bathing on your own.
I ain't looking for any company besides the respectable kind, miss. My wife is in Twin Forks stitching up folk for the dock. War has made him a busy man.
A right awful business to be profitable in.
Any business is awful enough if you work it for too long.
There's a brief silence between them. She hands him a key, seemingly for the bath.
He puts his hat back on, tips it to her, and then saunters off.
Sarah cleans the bar, pours drinks for others. She goes into the kitchen and returns with something on a tin plate.
James returns, his hair wet from the bath.
I got some jam and fresh loaf of bread here if you still hungry.
Well, that's right kind of you. He eats it.
She watches him.
He takes a few more bites, then stands. I ought to be going.
Stay a few more minutes.
He looks surprised, but sits.
She looks surprised she said it.
What can I do for you, Miss Abernathy?
Tell me a story. It ain't gotta be real, but it'd be better if it was.
Something real. Let me see. Well, don't you get plenty of good stories with folk coming through here?
My clientele tends to be a little more genteel, not so unpolished like yourself.
All right, I got one for you. A couple years ago, I was out on the Diamondback Trail running a job.
She leans in as he speaks. What sort of job?
Woman, are you going to let me tell the story or not?
Well, not if you ain't gonna do it proper.
I was running a job, moving some, let's say, contraband for a very wealthy gentleman. It was me and two other fellers, one driving and one in the back of the wagon. And I set up with the driver and kept my eyes on the hills.
Looking for Indians, yeah?
What? No, they's good folk. They don't factor into this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we get to this Conestoga up around the second to last bend before town. And blocking off the road, we see a few fellers with these dark eyes and mustaches.
Who were they?
He glares at her.
She recoils slightly.
I look back, and they got men covering the rear. So I step off the wagon and mosey on over to the tallest one. That's usually the one in charge. And I says, well, howdy, partner. These can be dangerous roads to be on at night. And he says, for you, maybe. We've got numbers. And I say, well, sure. 5 of your boys is worth 1 of me. And that gets him all twitchy like. And he gives one of those devil's smiles and says, prove it.
So what'd you do?
Well, I pulled out my 6-shooter and put a hole in 5 of those fellers' hats. And the tall one, he starts laughing and tells me, that's the foolish move, friend. Now you've only got 1 shot. So I look him dead in the eyes, waiting for him to blink. I says, I only need 1 to go through your skull. The tall man raises a hairy eyebrow and says to me, my boys will gun you down right after. Now I turn and I stare each of these young men down before I turn back to the tall one. I shrug my shoulders and I tell him, maybe, maybe not. Shame you won't be around to see it.
She hangs on his every word.
I lift my gun to his forehead and he smiles. He puts up his hands and says, you either a real deadly or a real crazy son of a bitch. Either way, I think we're done here. So I mount up back on the wagon and they let us through. And as we go by the tall man, I spin out the cylinder on my revolver. I hold it out for him to see and tell him, well, I guess I was crazy because I forgot to load a sixth shot. I swear, I don't think I've ever seen a man laugh so hard in his life.
Is that it? She leans back, noticing how far over the bar she was hanging.
Well, what more do you want? Some big old shootout?
Was that whole story true, Mr. Shepard?
True enough. He stands up from his seat and dusts off his coat. He sets the hat back on his head.
Well, it has been a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Shepard. Don't be a stranger. And you bring that wife of yours around.
I certainly would. But I expect we'll be out on the trail by dawn.
Where to?
Well, further west. My cousin says there's a gold in California still if you know where to look.
Wow, that sounds like a mighty fine adventure. You know, I sure would love to go out west in a caravan. Stop between mountains at night and build a campfire under the stars. Oh, listen to me ranting and raving like a schoolgirl. I've always been told I was a funny gal, I'm told.
Nothing funny about wanting a life other than the one you got. Hell, if it weren't a little uncomfortable all the time, I reckon no one would ever do anything.
Silence.
Silence.
You know, it's been nice to have some company, even for just a day. I had a couple come through recently. Sounded just like what you got with your wife.
Were they Jewish?
No, they just really liked the dancing rabbi.
Is that problematic?
Beats me.
So it was a Christmas party rife with holly and ivy and dancing rabbis, and Elizabeth was across the room talking to a friend.
Yeah, she wasn't my friend.
Woman, would you let me tell the story?
Not if you're gonna do it wrong.
The woman who is or isn't your friend doesn't factor into this. The story is about just like, who's the...
Hi. So obviously this isn't correct.
Yeah, no shit.
This one actually is on me. So I am really sorry. I am definitely not cut out to be a Zoom operator. I sent you the wrong script. It's not Zoom Play Final. It's Zoom Play Final Draft 2020. So my bad.
I hate everything that you're saying.
I know. I'm really sorry. Just look at the new script and I will wait, I guess. This is awkward. Oh man, I can't even begin to apologize for this mess. I've been trying to sort this out since they got stuck on the dancing rabbi loop. Well, okay. So just humor me for a second and put yourself in my shoes. So it's around like 6 o'clock in the evening and you get a call. It's your friend who writes plays and other stuff. And he asks if you'll fill in for a Zoom play. And honestly, you're a little hurt. He didn't ask you to audition. This is the first you've ever heard of it. Normally he loves to cast you and stuff. You work well together. You like working together. Why didn't he tell you about it? And then you kind of remember that you did go on and on last week when you were out drinking, that you were super overwhelmed and stressed and busy and you weren't going to have time to get together for a little bit. And it kind of makes sense that maybe he assumed you were busy. He sounds kind of hesitant on the phone, like maybe he's thinking the same thing. And I guess why wouldn't he? We get along really well. It makes sense that he would know what you're thinking. So your friend asks you to fill in for this stupid Zoom play and you say, yeah, I mean, what else would you do? So you turn on the computer and you open up the script on your phone and you realize that maybe you could do better than the old New Orleans sweater with the remoulade stain over the W for an audience. So you find something professional-ish, seasonal-ish, cable knit sweater, collared shirt underneath. You decide to forego pants. It's a Zoom call. No one else here is wearing pants right now. You sit down at the computer and you realize it never turned on. Your computer is dead. And now you're running through your apartment and you're looking for your MacBook charger and you find it, but it is the old charger. You just bought a new MacBook with your tax return and you have to use the new one that it came with because technology is really stupid. So you're running around like a crazy person. You're looking for your new charger and then you're freaking out and it's just not working out very well. And then there it is right next to your computer. So you plug it in and you wait for it to load up and you check the time. 20 minutes to go. You go to your phone and you realize you haven't even gotten past the title page, Zoom. Zoomers zooming through a Zoom play. You wonder if he thinks he's funny for that title. It's not very clever. It's not even a pun. It's just wordy and confusing. You think back and you realize titles have not really been his forte. They've kind of been a blind spot for him in the past. But then you kind of shrug and you think you should probably give him some credit because at least he's writing. You've been trying to write a story for 6 months and have done nothing. See, the main problem is that you can't decide if it's a stage play or a film. So that's a pretty insurmountable conundrum. And instead of solving it, you do nothing. You watch the news, it's depressing. You watch reruns, they're comforting. You don't write. Check the clock again, 10 minutes to go. You make peace with the fact that there is no way you were gonna read this ahead of time. You fire up Zoom, you can't remember your password. You have them send you an email with a link so you can get a new one. You log into Zoom, you wait for the update, you get ready to start the meeting. You realize you only have the free version once you're finally in Zoom, and seeing as you haven't read the play, you definitely don't know how long the play is going to be. And well, if the title is anything to go by, you're not very optimistic. So to upgrade to more than 40 minutes, it costs kind of a lot of money. You wonder if the writer is going to reimburse you. Freaking better. You bought the tequila the last time.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, I skimmed it.
Okay. Great. Let's just keep on moving. I can't believe it. All of you guys are still here. Thank you so much. I promise we're trying our best. Enjoy.
Well, I sure am grateful you've decided to take me all the way to Twin Forks, Mr. Shepherd.
Least I can do since you done cooked up dinner for the whole damn army.
Well, I thought you might get hungry.
And if I stumbled into a bear, he could have his own meal.
You'll have to share with me now.
You eat like a bear, Miss Abernathy?
I've been known to growl.
Is that so? Look, I set up the tent. You can take it. I like looking at the stars anyhow.
What? No, don't be ridiculous. We can share a damn tent.
I didn't want to imply that.
Mr. Shepherd, come on now. There ain't nothing wrong with ladies like that, but I'm not one of them. Usually.
I was just trying to, well, you know, just.
Yeah, protect my virtue or some other such nonsense. Listen, fella, I've been taking care of that inn without a husband for some time now. I done seen things more terrifying than guns and blood. In my professional opinion, sir, you wouldn't last a day in my line of work.
I imagine that's true. I've no mind to cross you, don't worry.
Then do as I say and stay in the tent tonight with me. It's plenty big enough to defend my honor with your back to me.
Anyone ever tell you that you're
Oh yeah, that I'm stubborn, demanding.
I'd have said passionate.
Yeah, I'm all those things, Mr. Shepherd. And what about your wife?
She's all of those things as well, come to think of it.
You know, I meant to ask, what might she say about all this?
I don't rightly know. When things get busy for the doc, they take long shifts. Share a room, change out of bloody clothes and in front of whoever. I mean, necessity sort of denies the need for propriety, so.
And what about us? My life ain't in immediate danger.
Well, You're a pretty woman in the middle of nowhere. Any feller on a horse passing is gonna be danger to you, miss.
Okay, you're changing the subject.
If I act proper, there'll be no problem.
So act proper.
I ain't been nothing but, have I?
In action, sure, but how about your thoughts?
I said I got to act proper, not think proper.
So, you admit you've been thinking of me.
Lady, a man is entitled to his stray thoughts and flights of fancy. Don't flatter yourself so much.
How else am I to entertain myself?
Ain't no entertaining to be had. Go to bed, woman. We're up at dawn.
Bold of you to assume I'm not up at dawn every morning.
Miss Abernathy, I have learned better than to assume anything about you.
I'll make myself scarce then and get ready to sleep.
Good.
Oh, one more thing first.
What's that?
Tell me another story.
Seriously?
Come on, you're my friend, ain't you?
Well, sure, but
Then tell me a story.
what's being your friend got to do with it?
Friends tell each other stories.
I mean, I've heard tall tales from drunken drifters while they piss themselves in the street. Anyone can tell you a story, Miss Abernathy, but I ain't exclusive to friendship.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, honestly. I ain't got too many friends. Acquaintances, sure. Regulars, plenty. But friends, good company, not so much.
I guess I could say the same. I hope I'm good enough company.
The best. Please tell me another story. I really like the real ones.
The page is blank.
Yeah, I see that. Just skip ahead.
Okay. Okay, here we go. I guess I could say the same. I hope I'm good enough company.
The best. Please tell me another story. I like the real ones.
So it was a Christmas party, rife with holly and ivy and dancing rabbis, and Elizabeth was across the room talking to a friend.
Oh, she wasn't my friend.
You know, I'm not reading this again.
God damn it,
not doing
really?
it.
Hi.
Hey, you know what? I quit.
You can't actually.
Can we?
Just humor me. Just stick around. One more round to go. And
Yeah,
then
okay. Well, do you have the right script?
yes,
for
I actually
once?
do. I went to Kinko's and I got the right script printed. So hopefully we can eliminate any technological errors. Apparently Zoom Play Final Draft 2020 is just a completely entirely different thing than what he wanted us to use. So someone is actually going to be hand delivering the scripts to you in just a minute. So if you could just take a second when you get those and look over them and come back when you're ready.
Do it for the experience, they said. He's a great writer, they said. Always proofreads. Fuck this.
So just hang on. So is this the right script or not? I mean, I thought I liked the first one, but then I started getting invested in this platonic affection between James and Sarah and just
Parker, I was invited to this project like literally an hour ago. I'm assuming that you guys have a little bit better of an idea than I do.
No, we didn't rehearse. He just said we could read it on the day of.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. Class. All right. Just go see if the scripts have been delivered, please.
I really need to get into the union next year.
This kind of feels like one of those nightmares when you're back in high school, even though it's been years, and you forget your locker combination, or you have to read it out loud, but you can't see the letters on the page, or you can see them, but you just can't read them. They're just squiggly marks without any meaning. I had a dream like that the other night. Imagine being in a room, not a big room, not a small room. You are navigating your way through the room, but you keep bumping into boxes stacked haphazardly around the space. You sift through one, but it belongs to your sister. You check another, and it's also hers. Surely your things are somewhere in this mess, right? I mean, surely there's room for you among all of her stuff. It takes time, minutes, hours, you couldn't even say, sorting through boxes and plastic bags and piles of clothes, looking for any piece of you. You go through your sister's yearbooks and Polaroids and clothes from last Christmas that still smell like the bonfire that you and her and your dad made. You spend seconds, minutes, hours, or days, and you discover a lifetime of perfectly preserved and curated memories. It's just not yours. So you toss one of the boxes aside furiously, and some of the stacks come crashing down, and you're thinking that you're going to be completely suffocated under all of your baggage, and it doesn't even matter. You weren't here for boxes anyhow. You were pushing through the stacks because you wanted to find something else, something you were supposed to read something. Even before the Zoom play, the writer gave you something. You were supposed to read it. And he's taking up your time now, even in your dreams. It's inconsiderate. He can't reimburse you for dream time. Whatever, I guess it doesn't matter if he always brings the expensive bourbon. So you're searching through the stacks of boxes and piles of clothes, and you move through the room like you're some drunk ballerina dancing to a pop song she doesn't really know. And the room is getting darker, and you're upset with your sister, and none of it matters because somewhere in your mind, you know it's a dream. And besides, you haven't found the pages. Then finally, beautifully, you see a white corner sticking out from under your dog. How he navigated through this room of horrors, you will not ever know. But he's there now on top of a sheet of paper, the paper you were meant to read for the writer. So you pull it from under your dog and you tear the corner of the page. And that's all right. The words are still there, right? The words have to be there. You stare and you stare and you stare at the writing and you can't read it. It's just the same nightmare all over again. You curse yourself for not memorizing the words in the waking world. If you knew this page by heart, your mind could retrieve it in this liminal room you've been trapped in. You look at the page again. You can't read it. It's just black marks on a white page.
Okay. Let's see here. Just got it.
Yeah, I got mine, but I didn't bother reading it.
Okay, that's fine. We will just sight read.
We?
Yeah. Okay, we can go ahead and go. I'm going to stick around and do the directions.
Cool. All right.
Ready?
Oh God, yes, please. I just want to be done with this.
A man sits on a cot. A woman wraps gauze around his bleeding arm.
If thou shouldst look upon a shelf and see a face so full of cheer, know that he is not a jester joking about, a man so kind, so pious, laughing loud, and sings the song of people long ago.
Riveting. Where did you find that?
Shakespeare, I think. I learned it long ago.
It's not often you hear a woman in the tents quoting Shakespeare.
Perhaps you should.
I feel better already. Your voice soothes more than the medicine.
The woman finishes with the gauze and begins wrapping a cloth bandage around the entire arm.
Keep saying things like that and I'll have to treat you for fever.
I'm not mad.
Are you happy?
I meant I haven't gone mad. I just enjoy hearing your voice.
But are you happy though?
As much as a man can be confined to a cot and listening to his brothers die.
Right. As happy as you can be.
I suppose it's silly.
Oh, the war?
No, me. I mean, projecting some sort of crush onto a woman I hardly know. I always told my brother, don't go harassing waitresses just because they're nice to you. They're just doing their job and don't need the pressure of turning down your ugly mug.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd hardly call your mug ugly.
I mean, sure, but yours belongs to an angel of life.
Mm, more like death.
Well, surely your voice makes men fight stronger on the cot than on the front lines.
But still, they die.
But still they die.
Well, you're looking a little bit better.
Do you tell all the men that?
Um, I mean, I don't like to lie, but sometimes
It's easier.
no, no, but it's right.
Will I see you again
Well, hopefully not.
after all this? Can I see you again?
The nurse thinks for a moment, writes something down, and hands a slip of paper to the soldier.
If you can find your way to this village on Christmas morning, I'll find you there.
I would be very glad for that chance.
Then pray for it.
To you, the angel of life and death?
No, no, to God.
I gave up that sideshow long ago.
Well, he works in mysterious ways.
A radio works in mysterious ways. God works like an asshole.
The man stands, winces, and sits back down.
Wait. Please let me put that arm into a sling.
The nurse does so, working efficiently but gently around his wound.
You know, you haven't told me your name yet. Usually men spew it out like a geyser, maybe hoping that my saying it back to them will bless them or something.
And does it?
Sometimes.
James Shepard.
Sarah Abernathy. I'll have you know, Mr. Shepard, that I'm not entertained in gentlemen callers.
Oh, I mean no offense, ma'am. I'm just passing through. My wife is in Twin Forks stitching up folk for the dock. War has made him a busy man.
Right, awful business to be profitable in.
Any business is awful enough if you work it for too long.
Can I offer you anything? I got some jam and a fresh loaf of bread out the oven.
Oh, that's mighty kind of you, but I ought to be going.
Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Shepard. Don't be a stranger. You bring that wife of yours around.
Were they Jewish?
No, they just really liked the dancing rabbi.
Is that problematic?
Beats me.
So it was a Christmas party, rife with holly and ivy and dancing rabbis, and Elizabeth was across the room talking to a friend.
Yeah, she wasn't my friend.
Woman, would you let me tell the story?
Not if you're gonna do it wrong.
The woman who is or isn't your friend doesn't factor into this. The
Okay,
story is about
so-
our relationship.
I figured out the problem.
God, this is getting ridiculous.
How hard is it to get a coherent script?
Yeah. The thing is that I think we're actually in hell, but are you guys getting paid to be here?
I mean, yeah, like a stipend.
Then please shut the fuck up because my upcoming panic attack is definitely going to be pro bono. Seriously though, I do think this is the script. Like, I mean, I think it's in here. I think you just have to, I think it's connected. I think you have to put the pages together, like in order.
Seriously?
Do I look like I'm kidding?
Jesus Christ.
Unbelievable. Completely unbelievable. I mean, you agree to this stupid play. You introduce the stupid play. You listen as they read the stupid play, and then you realize something. The play is repeating, not intentionally, not anything so profound. It's just a formatting error. So you pause the whole operation and you call the writer. He apologizes. He sends you the correct PDF. You give it to the actors. They keep reading. The story is completely different. You give your friends the benefit of the doubt. He must have mixed up two plays entirely. The way you text that one girl, Kayla, sorry, she's being such a bitch. And then you realize that you'd actually meant to send it to Taylor. Your conversation with Kayla was about the best flavor of White Claws and had nothing to do with someone acting like, well, a bitch. In fact, you were responding to Taylor with the message because Kayla has apparently been harassing Taylor about not telling people about their engagement. And no, in fact, it's not that Taylor is embarrassed about her relationship. That's ridiculous. Taylor's been out and proud for over 4 years. You went with her to her first Pride parade, for Christ's sake, and you held her hand and she squeezed onto it for dear life until suddenly she wasn't. And Taylor isn't ashamed of her relationship with Kayla. She just wanted to wait to tell her dad before posting it all over social media. And now you're thinking about that first Pride parade again, and feeling like you were there doing something performative just to feel better about yourself. And then you feel Taylor's hand squeeze yours and you remember why you're there. She's your friend, your best friend, your sister, your actual sister. And you remember that on the other side of her, Taylor's father, your father, squeezed her other hand. You navigate the crowd as a family, just like you always have. And then, of course, remembering that day when Taylor did tell your dad about being engaged to Kayla, and the three of you were hugging and laughing and crying and kisses both of you on the forehead. He told you that your mother was to be so proud of you. And then Taylor asks if he'll walk her down the aisle, and you think you've actually never seen your dad so emotional in your entire life. And then Taylor asks you if you'll be her maid of honor, and suddenly you are giving your dad a run for money in tears. And then you're flashing forward to wiping away tears at her wedding and fidgeting with your lavender dress and holding onto your bouquet as they say, I do. And finally, you wish you couldn't remember that night when Taylor came to your Midtown apartment without warning. You think of her curled up on your couch, vacant and weighed down. And you ask her again, are you sure you want a divorce? And she says, I do. So reading two wildly different plays is like the first text you mixed up 2 years ago. It's hearing characters have the same names and different arcs, and the way you heard Taylor say, I do, in two very different ways. It shouldn't connect, but it's connected all the same. So you shake Taylor from your thoughts and you focus on the play in front of you, or rather plays, since there seems to be more than one, and you have no idea if it's 1 act or 10, and at any rate, it's the wrong script. Again, you call the writer again. He assures you again that this is the right script. You go down to Kinko's with just far enough to have to drive to, but close enough that you're still going to feel guilty about not walking, which is really annoying. And then you give them the thumb drive that you have the script on. The man in a polo says that there's 2 people ahead of you. You slap a bill down on the counter and let Andrew Jackson's problematic face talk for you. You say thank you, and also because you're having kind of a bad fucking day, you say, don't you know that there's a goddamn pandemic going on? And you tell him that there's another 10 if he puts his mask over his nose. And he grumbles and adjusts the mask and then sets to printing your documents. He tells you it'll be a few minutes. You go to the sandwich shop next door. You look at the menu for a Cuban sandwich. You always look for that first, even though you hate pickles. And no, I'm not going to explain it. They don't have a Cuban by name, but you see there's a sandwich with the exact same ingredients called Ted's Favorite. You're in a pretty volatile mood already, and you consider telling Ted where he can stick his deliciously appropriated sandwich, but you manage to hold it back and eat your half sandwich in peace. The full-sized one, you decided, was too expensive. You've spent a lot of money tonight. Surely the writer won't burst you. You go back into Kinko's and you pick up the pages. You ask your sister to deliver the pages to the actors. She's been crashing with you since she got divorced from Kayla, so now Taylor asks you how far she has to go. You give her the addresses, which are both thankfully within 10 minutes from your own. You're grateful that you splurged on the studio that's more central to downtown. You're less enthused that you're sharing a studio apartment with your sister. The actors, well, I mean...
Okay, it's finally fixed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the script.
The pages are in order.
Consider them unfucked.
I guess, yeah, read it then. I'm gonna go and find some wine. Ladies and gentlemen, Zoom, whatever.
It's not often you hear a woman in the tents quoting Shakespeare.
Perhaps you should.
I feel better already. Your voice soothes more than the medicine.
Keep saying things like that and I'll have to treat you for fever.
I'm not mad.
Oh, are you happy?
I meant I haven't gone mad. I just enjoy your voice.
But are you happy though?
About as much as a man can be confined to a cot and listen to his fellow brothers die.
Sure, as much as you can be.
I suppose it's silly.
The war?
No, me. Projecting some sort of crush onto a woman I hardly know. I always told my brother, don't go harassing waitresses just because they're nice to you. They're just doing their job and they don't need the pressure of turning down your ugly mug.
Well, sure, but I mean, I'd hardly call your mug ugly.
Well, sure, but yours belongs to an angel of life.
More like death.
Well, surely your voice makes men fight stronger on the cot than on the front lines.
Well, still, they die.
Still, they die.
Well, you're looking better.
Do you tell all of them that?
I don't like to lie, but sometimes.
It's easier.
No, but it's right.
Will I see you again?
Well, I would hope not.
I mean, after all of this, can I see you again?
If you can find your way to this village on Christmas morning, I'll find you there.
I would be very grateful for the chance.
Then pray.
What, to you? The angel of life and death?
No, to God.
No, I gave up on that sideshow long ago.
He works in mysterious ways.
Radio works in mysterious ways. God works like an asshole.
Let me put that arm into a sling. You haven't told me your name. Men usually spew it out like a geyser, maybe hoping that my saying it back to them will bless them or something.
And does it?
Sometimes.
Well, call me Joe, because I'm just a G.I. Joe.
No, you're more than that.
Then why am I here?
Why am I here?
Well, to fix the faceless sea of freedom.
No, it's not. If you were nobodies, there would be no use in fixing you. A faceless sea doesn't need bandaging or soothing or antibiotics.
You've gone to school.
A little.
I can tell. You're sharper than most women. I didn't mean it like that. Just most gals back home never got out past the garden gates.
That sounds like a euphemism.
Maybe it is.
Is it?
If I may correct my statement further, you're more clever than any man I've ever met.
Well, that's not a very big compliment.
Oh, yeah, no, I suppose not.
All right. You're free to go, Lieutenant.
Please, call me Jeremiah.
I'm Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Huh.
What?
It does feel nice to have someone say your name.
Well, what do they normally call you here?
Well, the ones who are in pain call me the cunt with the needle. The ones who are feeling fine call me sweetheart.
Well then, Elizabeth, I look forward to seeing you at Christmas.
Were we celebrating Christmas?
What do you mean?
It could have been Hanukkah.
Well, I don't celebrate Hanukkah, but I specifically remember a dancing rabbi on a shelf singing Haba Nagila.
Were they Jewish?
No, they just really like the dancing rabbi. You were across the room talking to a friend.
No, she wasn't my friend.
Well, the woman who is or isn't your friend doesn't factor into it.
The woman factors into it.
The story is about our relationship, how we meet people, and
The
how we
woman.
sort of. The story is about
Your
our
wife.
whole- No, my wife is in Twin Forks stitching up folk for the dock. War has made him a busy man.
The right awful business to be profitable in.
Any business is awful enough if you work it for too long.
Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Don't be a stranger. You bring that wife of yours around.
For Christmas?
Were we celebrating Christmas?
Okay, you know what? Don't start that again.
I'm not.
Are you reading this?
Yeah, I'm reading it. What else am I supposed to be reading?
I couldn't tell if it was in the script.
Yeah, well, none of it makes any goddamn sense anyway.
I mean, it looks like the pages just started printing on top of each other.
Where did she go?
Who, Elizabeth?
No, the woman, Sam.
Who knows? This whole thing is just a wreck. I mean, Jesus, repetition doesn't make something like inherently good. I once had a dream about a Weezer song, but but it was just repeating the line, "Wrestle with Jimmy," like over and over and over and over and over. And it wasn't good.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck everything about this. I'm out.
Look, folks, hey, sorry guys. I mean, you all can leave. Clearly this play isn't happening. I mean, look, Sam's the one controlling the stream and the meeting, so I can't really end it, but at least you can leave if you want. But I mean, good luck, everyone. Night.
Is anybody seeing what's going on with? Okay. It doesn't matter. So here's the thing. You call the writer again and you tell him everything is still wrong. He tells you it's fine. And you tell him not to tell you what's fine when it's clearly not fine. And he asks you if you remember the book he recommended. And you think, and you say, the Italo Calvino one, and he nods. And you think, you think he nods because you're on the phone. And then eventually he says, I read it. And you tell him he never even mentioned finishing it. And he said he hadn't, but he was inspired by it nonetheless. And you tell him that that is outrageous to be inspired by something that you haven't even finished consuming. And he says that's not true. You're pretty ticked off pacing around your studio apartment that you share with your sister. And you remind him that the Calvino was something that you wanted to adapt yourself. You do entertain that thought from earlier about how you're not even writing at all. And you put that thought aside because this is about principle, and you tell him that it was yours to adapt, or at least he should have made it into a film. Doesn't he remember that that's what you said, that it should have been a Wes Anderson film? Yes, he remembers, but he's not Wes Anderson. Really grateful for the clarification. He reminds you that it's not even an adaptation, it's an inspiration. You call him out for arguing semantics. He gets quiet and he asks, do you want to know why I did it? Now you're holding your breath. The question feels so weighted. Why does it feel so heavy? Why does it feel so important, like that silence when your sister, when she came to your apartment that night? You tell him to go on. And he says that the reason he wrote it is because of you. He was inspired not by the book, but by you. And also maybe the book. And you shake your head because that is the sort of bullshit that some guy trying to sleep with you would say. But you guys are not like that. You ask him what he means. You ask, while this doesn't make any sense, why is it so emotionally charged? He tells you that a love letter doesn't have to be romantic, and you shift uncomfortably, not because you don't believe him, because you do. And you're fumbling for words, and you tell him that it's a stupid and unremarkable play, and he says that's fine. And you ask why he didn't ask you to be in it, and he says he did, didn't he? Isn't that why you're here tonight? And you're angry about the deception, about the book, about the money that you haven't been reimbursed for yet. But it kind of doesn't matter. Someone wrote a fucking play about you. Not because you were mad or because they were madly in love with you, but because they were inspired by you. So you put it all together. Neither of you factor into it, not individually. This story is about your relationship, how it connects, how you meet people, and you just know they're going to be important to you. And so now you're laughing, and you tell him it's not autobiographical enough to be true, and it's certainly not fiction. And he says it doesn't matter. Who cares if people think you met on Christmas staring at an electronic dancing rabbi that may or may not have been problematic?